Welcome to In Our Community. I'm Suzanne Barnett, your host, and tonight I guarantee you all keep watching because we are going to have a very fascinating show, mainly because of my guest, Lesley Ruzon, who is the director and owner of For the Love of Dance. I wanted her to remind me. Who could forget For the Love of Dance? Lesley, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. So you're going to tell us all about your studio, which is located in
Mountain View.
In Mountain View, For the Love of Dance. How'd you get that title?
A few years ago, when my husband and I were discussing what I wanted to do, because I was teaching in other studios and I was trying to decide if I wanted to own my own studio. And one of the things in our discussions that I said about why I wanted to teach dance is I just wanted to teach dance for the love of dance. And he said, oh, that's got to be the name of the studio.
It's very, very clever. How long has the studio been in existence?
We opened 3 years ago.
3 years. How has that been?
It's been great. It's a learning process for sure. I didn't really know about business, so that whole part I've had to learn. Deciding where to put our advertising dollars, deciding how to hire a staff, all of that was new for me. The actual teaching dance I can do
in your sleep.
Yeah, just throw me in front of some kids and I can teach them a dance. So all of the finding a location, all of that was new.
Now, tell me about your personal family. You have a husband.
Yes. And 4 children.
4 children. What are the ages?
13, 11, 9, and 6.
And you're sitting here. You're alive.
I made it through.
You really did. Do the kids dance? Do your children?
Yes, the girls dance. My boys are in and out of dance. It's tough for the boys because not many boys dance. So when you're the only boy in the class, it can be a little not as much fun, I guess. My 6-year-old, he was kind of done with it last year. We got him through the recital, and he had so much fun when he was there, but he just didn't like being the only boy.
So he's not dancing anymore?
He's not dancing, but he wants to do hip hop. So we're going to switch from ballet and tap to hip hop. Maybe he'll like that.
So what kind of classes do you hold?
We have classes from as young as 2-year-olds doing a mommy and me class with one of their parents or a caretaker. And then ballet, tap, jazz, lyrical, hip hop, musical theater, all ages.
Well, I want to repeat this several times during our interview, but I think your philosophy is so fascinating. Would you tell us about it?
Sure. The reason I want to teach dance and what my goal is with these young people especially is just that they develop a love for art and music and movement and appreciate what goes into it and what they can get out of it and just love it. Just understand how their bodies work in that special way.
And don't you think that children who have had especially dance instruction, they develop, I shouldn't say this, but I'm making a general statement, but it seems to be true that they're more confident and they know how to really use their body a little bit.
Sure, they have a lot of body awareness.
Yeah.
And there's been studies showing this as well.
So, I'm going to ask you a personal question.
Okay.
Why really do you love to teach dancing?
Because I love dancing.
Really?
And I want to teach somebody else something that they might enjoy as much as I do.
Do you and your husband go dancing, Lesley?
We used to. We haven't in a few years. We would go over to Cubberley. They do the ballroom dancing on the weekends. We just haven't
I can see why when you have a full-time profession. Okay, so let's start now with your past. When did you start dancing and what was that like and so forth?
I started a little late in the dance world if I had wanted to be professional. I was in 2nd grade and my best friend, I went to her recital at the end of first grade. I said, oh, I want to do that. And it was a very simple class. It was in the VFW hall in my hometown. We didn't have professional bars and mirrors. We just had folding chairs for the bars. And it was ballet and tap. I still remember the routines I did. The teacher was Mrs. McDonald. She was wonderful, and I loved it. And it was so simple, and it was just a lovely introduction to dance. And then after taking class there for 3 years, I went to a more traditional studio.
So tell us about some of your performances.
That I've done, you mean?
No, that you were in.
Oh, that I was in? Okay.
Yeah.
So, of course, dance recitals all the way through high school and into college. I went to USC, and I was on the performance team there and performed, college repertory type things. I also did summer stock theater, and I've done musical theater at West Valley Light Opera and South Bay Musical Theater. But it's been a few years since I've had time to do that.
But now, what about the fact that you're a mother, a wife, and a owner of a dance studio? When do you have time to dance for you?
I don't.
Lesley.
Not really. I should. I know I should. Maybe this year I'll find time to go take class. I do go to dance teacher conventions, so that's my opportunity.
And you can dance.
And yes.
Oh, you do classes? Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. That's good. Tell about your two. I was reading it on your webpage about your two teachers.
Oh, so I've got Miss Tara, who comes to us from Michigan, where she went to Alma College and was a dance major, and she's wonderful with all my ages. She teaches my Saturday classes, so all those my baby ballerinas. And I've got Miss Casey, who comes to us. She's local. She went to San Jose State for her dance degree, and she's a dynamite because she can do all my different styles, so ballet and hip hop. And I've just hired a third teacher, Miss Bella, who's teaching some ballet classes and I do classes at preschools, and she's doing some of those classes.
I love that when they're, their names, you always say Miss.
Yes.
And the kids remember it. How old is your youngest student?
2.
2.
Yeah.
And what is she? I assume it's a girl. Mm-hmm. What is she like?
The little ones are just excited to be there. Especially, I encourage for the youngest set, go ahead and wear a tutu and, have fun with it. So they're wearing, you can buy tutus like anywhere now, or hand-me-down costumes from older siblings and cousins. And they're just so happy to be there and to be in a real dance studio with a mirror and a bar and a teacher and the music. I do, for the little ones, they're just clapping to the music and learning rhythm. They're following direction, listening to the music, feeling the difference between a slow tempo and a fast tempo and how you would move your body differently. So it's really the basics.
And they can do that.
They can.
At 2.
They can, yeah.
And they have no feelings of fear and stuff like other kids do, other people.
Sometimes they're shy the first few classes, but usually after a few classes they open up and give it a try.
How old is your oldest pupil?
I have one ballet student. I don't know if I give her age. I think she's in her 60s.
Really?
Yes.
And how does she do?
Oh, she does great. She jumping's a little tougher and arching back, but other than that, she can do it all.
Has she danced all her life?
Mm-hmm.
So you encourage older people even?
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
They probably need it more than anybody, right?
For me, anything that you enjoy doing, moving your body is good. So you've got to find what's the exercise you like, and dance is great exercise.
It really is. What's your favorite?
I think for performing, I enjoy jazz. I did a lot of musical theater, and all that is jazz. But for taking class, it's ballet ballet is the basis for every other kind of dance.
You said that. Why is that?
It's all, I could write a dissertation about that. Ballet is all about the center and finding your center and knowing where that is and the different movements that come from that. So you could do that same movement with a jazz hand instead of a ballet hand, and all of a sudden it changes. So, it's a tough one to describe quickly.
Well, no, just tell. Because I think that's such an interesting question, because so many people, a lot of people, don't really know about ballet, so they don't really see it that much. Don't you think?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I think most people are exposed to ballet at Christmas because of the Nutcracker, which is a wonderful way to introduce all ages, but especially children, because it's a wonderful ballet. And because we don't see it beyond that, sometimes you forget about it the rest of the year. The way you move in ballet and the way you learn to move your body and how to jump and how to turn, you can use that in all the different types of dance.
So that is really necessary. I mean, if a student, you can tell too, can't you tell?
Sure.
Someone who just has that special talent. It's necessary, you think? Yeah. How do you tell them that?
Just say you need to take ballet class.
Yeah.
It's the most important. If you've ever seen the musical A Chorus Line, they're auditioning for a traditional musical theater number, so it's all jazz, but they have to do a ballet number. And one of the dancers gets called out because she doesn't have ballet training. Yeah. And so they kick her out. Yeah. If you haven't had it. And famously, the musical Cats, the first part of the audition was a ballet bar. They wanted to see that you had the discipline to do ballet before they wanted to see you do jazz.
How much ballet did you have?
From second grade on.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Are you still doing it? Now, here's the question. I don't know if other people are as curious about this as I am, Lesley, but how in the world do you remember all those steps?
For me, it's muscle memory. It's just...
What does that mean?
Doing it over and over to the music. My brain just connects the movement to the music. Everybody's different. Some people, I've had students and known people who just need to watch the dance. And they just watch it enough times and then they can do it. Others have to write it down. And I write down my choreography because I tell my students all the time, once I've taught it to you, it's not in my brain anymore. so I have to write down my own choreography. But when I'm learning dance, ideally you're not learning too much at once. Maybe 15 to 20 seconds at a time. But yeah, it's in my body, it's in my bones once I've done it enough times.
Well, don't you think that's a special talent?
Sure. Everybody has different gifts.
You know, say take 10 people that are dancers. How many do you think that you've had experience that have muscle memory? What do you think?
Oh, I hadn't really thought about that. I'd guess probably half. And it's picking up dance quickly is an important skill if you want to be a professional.
That's it.
It's going to be part of your auditions. It's just being given choreography quickly. How fast can you pick it up?
So tell about performances, about your kids.
Sure. So dance is a performing art. So
Right.
That's part of my philosophy is you need to get out there and dance. So we have a recital, a traditional recital at the end of the year. We have it at Los Altos High School. It's a beautiful stage, great theater. And then throughout the year, we try to do some performances. We'll be at the Mountain View Art and Wine Festival in a couple weeks. We do, at Christmas time, we do a performance at the Senior Center. And we usually do Christmas in the Park down in San Jose. And then in the spring, we do the Mountain View Spring Parade. And anybody who wants a performing group, give me a call, because we love to get out there and share it.
But tell about how you feel about competition.
Oh, competitions just aren't for me. It's some studios do them, they do a great job. The feeling I had from them is I'd rather my dancers were out there performing for other people, not just judges and their parents.
Yeah.
So get out there and share your joy of dance with other people.
What happens during a performance if someone screws up?
Keep dancing.
Is that what you tell them?
Just keep dancing. Yep.
Are they appalled?
No, it depends on the dancer and their maturity level. But one of the things I always tell my dancers is nobody in the audience has, it written down, this is what they're supposed to do. If you mess up and you don't show it on your face, they won't know. And most people watch faces during dance. Even though it's a whole body experience, if they're watching your face, they're not going to notice that you put the wrong foot up. So just keep dancing.
Do you have any particular experiences that you think would be real interesting for us to hear?
When I was, about 6th or 7th grade, I grew up on the East Coast, and we had, similar to the art and wine festivals we have here, it was called the Victorian Fair, and we used to dance in this every year. And I was dancing in it, and I was doing, I said I'd never forget dances, and I can't remember it. Rockin' Around the Clock, that's the song. And wearing poodle skirt. And the Velcro on my poodle skirt didn't quite stay. So I'm dancing and my skirt goes down and down and down. I found a place in the dance where I was crouching down, and I was able to quickly get that skirt back on. But I just kept dancing.
You just kept dancing.
With the skirt.
Were you mortified?
I don't think so. I thought it was funny.
Don't you think that people are mortified because if an accident happens and their teacher, mentor, somebody makes a big deal out of it, it can ruin the rest of their lives.
It could.
So how does a really good teacher teach their kids about accidents?
Example is a great way, sharing their own stories.
Yeah.
I know, we'll practice what happens if your hairpiece falls out.
Yeah.
Just let it be there.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. So practicing that and talking the students through it, before our recital, I do make a point of just sitting down with them and talking through what's going to happen, that you're going to walk on the stage, the lights will be low, the lights will come up, the music will start, give them those step by step so they know what to expect. And we do say, and if something goes wrong, don't worry, keep dancing.
You sound like a very, very good teacher.
Thank you.
You really do.
Thank you.
And because you love it so much, right? Can you tell another story about one of your students?
Okay, I'll have to think
in
of one.
3 years. You weren't
put me on the
expecting.
spot. I was not
I know,
expecting that
that's
question.
okay.
Let me think of a student to talk about. I've had, being in Silicon Valley, we get a lot of international students. So I've had a few students who don't know much English. They've just moved here from Europe or wherever.
Yeah.
And what's wonderful is if they've had ballet anywhere, in ballet we use a lot of French. So if we can get to the ballet terms, they're okay with not having as much English. So and I've seen some of them, improve their English skills as well as their dance skills, which is really fun.
I want to hear a bad experience.
A bad experience. I try not to remember those.
I know, you have such good muscle memory. I've really put you on the spot, and I just wanted to see how you handle it. You handle it very well. I mean, it's not a test. But you know something? I really think that this is unfortunate, and I'm being cynical, but I think people want to see something that is really upset. I'm saying upsetting, just to see how it's handled. Because if you're so perfect, which, you know, and in the movies you could just do scene after scene after scene. But I'm really interested. I never thought I was going to go this way with the interview, but I think you as a person, because of your experience, but also because you're sensitive, that you're a really good teacher and you make everybody feel comfortable.
Thank you. I try to.
How do you do that?
I remember my teacher telling us, I assisted dance classes when I was in junior high and high school, and she would say, you know, make sure you say something to each student, each class. Even if it's, you know, I like the way your hair is done today. Have something positive for them to remember. And when you do make corrections, because we have to, we can't let them do the wrong thing over and over again. When you make corrections, be sure to go back and see, you let them know when the improvement happened. Oh, now you get it, you're pointing your toes. Now you get how to hold your arms. You know, I like the way you're doing that, and really making sure that every student feels that in each class, which can be tough. There's always the more outgoing students, who it's easier to keep telling them how great they are because they're so outgoing. Make sure those shy students also.
Yeah. It's so important. And I think that kids are so lucky to be able to take dancing or acting or whatever, because it does change their personas. I mean, it either helps it depending on the teacher or it doesn't. So what about your kids? Dancing. Are they good dancers?
They're wonderful dancers.
Are they really?
They are.
You're not just saying that.
I'm not just saying it. They're great. They're awesome.
How come they're so great, Lesley?
Well, they've got to have hopefully a little bit genetic. And my husband does ballroom dance with me, and he's a musician. So
he is.
So they've got the music part of it and the rhythm that I don't have to worry about.
And that's genetic.
I think genetic, and that it's around.
Yeah.
You know, they hear him playing the piano. Many hours.
Does your 13-year-old daughter want to continue with dancing? She does.
She does.
What do you see happening in your family, in you and the dance studio in the next 5 years?
I hope the studio keeps growing. I'm done with my family growing. But I hope the studio keeps growing. I'd love to see more boys. It'd be great that, you know, we'd have enough boys so the few I have don't feel so alone and isolated. I'd love to see my adult classes. I offer some classes during the day, so it's when all the kids are in school. I'd love to see some of the moms take time for themselves and take a class. And just anybody who's available there at lunchtime, so that way you could sneak away from work for an hour and come take a class.
Will you have to tell us exactly where your studio is located?
Sure. It's on Old Middlefield Way.
Yeah.
Almost where Old Middlefield and Middlefield come back together. Peninsula Youth Theater's across the street. A lot of people know where that is.
What's the street number?
Oh, it's 2483 Old Middlefield Way.
2483.
Yes.
Might as well. And I'm sure we're going to put it on our
voila. Yeah, like right here.
Yeah. So, what about time for yourself? Because you're so busy.
It's tricky. It'll be a little easier because my kids go back to school on Monday. So hopefully I'll have a little more time. I try to do a lot of the paperwork and emails and all of that stuff while they're at school, so that I don't have to be doing that at night. So hopefully I'll get a little more time for reading and crafts and whatnot.
I know, but so you can dance. What about
I'll have to work on that.
Yeah, don't you? Of course, you're teaching,
right?
And so you get to dance.
I do.
Don't the kids love it when the teacher dances?
I always, just the way I dance, I can't, and the way I teach, I can't not dance. I'll even say, okay, kids, I'm not going to do it with you this time, but then I start doing it because I just can't help it.
Oh, they must really like you so much, Lesley.
I hope so.
Yeah. So I have a couple more questions.
Okay.
So let me just look. I think we've done a lot. And we only have a few minutes.
Okay. Ooh, that went quick.
Okay. So, just 1 second. I don't like to use my notes. This I think we might say one more time.
Okay.
What distinguishes For the Love of Dance from other dance schools?
First, we offer many styles of dance. There are some wonderful studios in the area that just do ballet. So if you don't want to just do ballet, you're kind of stuck. So we have ballet, tap, jazz, hip hop, musical theater, and all ages. So that's a little different. The fact that we don't do competitions is a little different. I'm all about performing. I want to get them out there and dancing, but not in the competition circuit.
And we'll be able to see you in the upcoming Mountain View Arts and Wine?
Yes.
And that is what, in a couple of weeks?
Yes, we'll be performing September 7th. It's the Sunday at 1 o'clock.
Okay, everybody. September 7th at Mountain View
Yes.
on Castro
Yes.
at 1 o'clock. Thank you so much for being here,
thank you.
Lesley. You're a joy, very inspiring. And I want to thank our crew. We have such a good crew. Without our crew, without a dance teacher, without a crew, we wouldn't have shows. And of course, I always say this because I mean it from my heart. I want to thank our audience for watching. Wait till you hear this. I can't wait to see you next time. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
So good. Yeah. So we, you know.